I think one of the common mistakes that we see people making on LinkedIn is not being active enough on LinkedIn and thinking that just having the profile is enough and that all the opportunities will come for us.
My special guest today is Igra Serfaty. Eli is or his company he owns is MAIA Digital, and this is the Getting the Deal Done podcast. Eli's company is a LinkedIn agency, and we're going to delve into, hopefully deeply, LinkedIn and how to use it, whether you're a business owner, a professional service provider, or an employee. So welcome, Eli. I'm really looking forward to this episode.
Hi, John. Thank you for having me. It's great to be
Yeah.
here. I'm looking forward to diving deep in the time that we have into LinkedIn and really getting a lot done.
Yeah. So let's start with, how did you get to where you are now with your digital agency?
Sure. So a brief background about myself. Eli, I'm the co-founder and CEO of Maya Digital. Maya is the Greek goddess of growth and prosperity. We are a LinkedIn agency, and previously I worked in venture capital for 2.5 years. I think that was probably my first glimpse into the need for not only individuals, but also for companies, so specifically startups. I was on the investment team that invested in early stage startups from pre-seed to A. And about 6 years ago, when we founded Maya, me together with my co-founder Shai, LinkedIn was at a very different landscape than it is today. LinkedIn has traditionally been around since 2002, which many people are surprised by, before Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X or Twitter, depending on how you call it today, many of the platforms that we know. And it was around 500, 600 million members. Today we're at 1.3 billion members globally. So we made the decision to focus solely on LinkedIn, understanding that it is the go-to platform for B2B, businesses to businesses, but also for individuals. And really our approach is to take a holistic approach to how we work with the companies and to look at each of them as a separate asset. So we have the company page, we have the personal profiles, and we have the employees, all of them depending on the scale and the different stages of the companies themselves. But we really understood that there is an importance to focus and niche down on LinkedIn to be able to provide the service holistically, rather than being a traditional digital marketing agency that focuses on all of the social platforms and also LinkedIn. So that's what we've been doing till today.
Yeah. So before we get into all the things we should be doing on LinkedIn, what are some of the more common mistakes you see, both whether call it a business owner or professional service provider, whether it's a lawyer, an accountant, M&A person like me, other kinds of advisors?
Great question. I think one of the common mistakes that we see people making on LinkedIn is not being active enough on LinkedIn and thinking that just having the profile is enough and that all the opportunities will come for us. While having the profile optimized is the first step that should be made, to really take it to the next level requires investment, time, resources, and being present. Can be posting content, can be commenting, and it can also be having conversations with people. It needs to be looked at as something that is important to you on a personal level, but also on a business level. And I like to look at it more as a platform to generate opportunities rather than lead generation. Lead generation can feel very transactional, but here, once you take it more holistically, it can really generate opportunities, whether you're looking for a job, a career change, or you're looking to maybe sell your company, you're looking to hire for your company, you're looking to fundraise for your company, for yourself. So first and foremost, to be present. I would say that was one of the things that we see.
Yeah. So people are not present enough.
Yes, not
Static.
present enough and static. And also, if they are trying to be present from other platforms, looking at and treating it the same as any social media platform. It's not a platform that focuses on virality and the social metrics. Yes, there are likes. Yes, there are comments and impressions and all the similar metrics that we have on other platforms. But the core of the platform is to create relationships. It's to bring value. It's to connect with people, to connect with your customers, to connect with your investors, to connect with your future employees or with your current employees. And it really takes a lot more effort and time than just to focus on what virality can we get or what type of content, and taking the same content that we put on Facebook or Instagram and expecting it to succeed on LinkedIn. That is also a common mistake. And it's a different set of content that needs to be there. The way that we tell the content, there should be storytelling behind it. It can be both personal, but it should be more focused on the professional side and how it can help the reader get to something that he's looking for, whether it's to learn from someone's story, to learn for a best practice or something that he can implement in his business today, and so on.
Yeah, I agree with you, Eli. I've been for a number of years been saying to a lot of people, LinkedIn is their Facebook light. Too many pictures of their family and their vacations, and that's not what I will go on LinkedIn for.
100%. Where do you
Yeah.
find yourself going on LinkedIn for, John?
To check out people, see who they are, what they've done, uh, where they're from. Uh,
And when you're checking that out, right, I'm assuming you're going to their personal profile. Is that correct? And
yes.
to their company page,
And I
right?
go to
So
company
that's
pages.
that's exactly where it comes today. We understand that people are doing their due diligence more than ever, not only from an investment standpoint, from a relationship standpoint. You're meeting someone, whether it's professionally or in a context to perhaps a professional relationship. Maybe he's a future potential client. You want to be able to prepare yourself. People will go into your profile. They will look at your activity, which they can see your posts and your comments, what interests you, how you share your thoughts, what you're working on today. They'll see your experience, what you've done. And the more information that we put on our profiles and on our different assets throughout LinkedIn, it allows the other people to know us before even speaking to them. And should we speak to them, of course, we can have a much more effective conversation because we already feel like we have that information even before having that first meeting.
Yeah. So I'll give you another example on that because we work with people buying and or selling a company, and a lot of times they'll, we do some outreach and they will say, "Oh, I've noticed so many are now looking at my profile because it's the same thing. Uh, whether it's an owner looking at the profile of a buyer or a buyer looking at the profile of a business when think, is that going to be a good buyer for me?" It's one of
Yeah.
the, yeah.
Yeah, we see it all the time with the companies that we're working with, especially, the startups, the ones who are looking for capital, that are looking for perhaps uh, an acquisition, right? For someone to buy their company or to invest in their company. They're going to be, even before they go to their website, they're probably going to go to their LinkedIn to look at who the people are, to look at the company. And that's exactly why I mentioned in the beginning that we focus holistically on LinkedIn across the company page, the executives, and the employees. And we believe that once you have those three, we're able to create LinkedIn as a centralized growth engine that influence HR, sales, marketing, fundraising, and really give a holistic 360 view into the company itself. And that's why I think, you asked before, what's another misconception or mistake that people make, thinking that one is maybe one more important to the other. So people, classic misconception is company profiles aren't important. You should only be on your personal profile. We see it and we believe that it matters on the stage that you're at, right? If we, take it down to an example, a solopreneur, someone who's a solo, or maybe he's just a consultant, he's a one man or one woman show. Yes, his priority should be on their personal profile. That's not to say that the company page and the other assets aren't important, but if we have to pick a priority for someone who's a one man show, company page. But if we're talking about a business or a startup, companies that maybe have 10, 15, 50, 100 employees that have a brand, something that's not just on a solo level, then of course a company page is also important. That's where candidates come. That's where clients can come. And so we need both of them. And I think a lot of the times people say, only one. And it's like, no, go long across all of it. And it usually comes down to the time and the resources that that person has, which we understand. But as long as you can start from one of them and start to build up on those foundations, uh, you're really able to achieve a lot from each side of it. And each one has different abilities that the other isn't. For example, if we want to do LinkedIn ads, right, you need to be able to do that from the company page, and you can't do that from a personal profile. So each one has, its pros and cons or its strengths on the other one, uh, and that's what we're seeing.
Okay. Well, let's flip it around and go into what are the things people should be doing? If you were to give a profile an A grade, what are they doing to get that A grade?
Would it be okay if I use someone from your organization
Yeah.
as an
Yeah.
example?
We
All
talked
right,
about using
great.
Jessica's page.
Yeah. So Jessica, who works with you at Nokomis Advisory
Yeah.
Services.
My daughter.
So actually, your daughter. So I'll call out some things here in general, not necessarily just related to Jessica herself. And hopefully anyone who's listening can take it, what's relevant to their profile, and we'll kind of focus on the main things. So if we're looking at Jessica Martinka, we can really see at the top, the first things that we see are the URL, which is where you type in LinkedIn, right? You can see the name. So that's optimized. It doesn't have the random letters and numbers at the end. It says Jessica Martinka. That's great. You'd be surprised. Many people forget to change that part, and then it's less aesthetic. We move down onto the visual aspects of it. We have the personal profile picture, and we have that big image and behind it, which is called the cover photo or the banner
Yeah.
photo. So the personal profile, it does look a little bit blurry to me, John. So this is really important, especially since that's the personal profile picture
Yeah.
is one of the first things that people see when they're searching for you, when they see it on their mobile, when it pops up in a comment or a post. You want it to be high quality. You want it to be clear who it is. And it doesn't have to be in a studio with, a professional camera. It's something that can be done today with an iPhone or a Samsung that have very, very good cameras, a white wall, a clear background, and just take a good picture. I love that Jessica's smiling. I think smiling in pictures are really important. It's a lot more approachable. That person feels a lot more warm. So I definitely recommend people when they do their profile pictures to smile, right? Some people maybe don't feel like right. It's a lot more welcoming when someone's there smiling in front of you. So I think that's great. The company, the banner behind it, it says exit with style, grace, and more money. And then it has your logo, your company logo. That's great. I don't know if these are your brand colors, but in general, there should be your brand colors. It
Yeah,
should be
they are.
clear, right? It should be clear to the person looking at it what you do. So I can already understand that you're working with people helping to exit, right? With
Yeah.
style, grace, and more money. So I know that's working with business owners. And in general, just to give some general tips to people, if there's social proof that you can add, perhaps logos of companies that you've worked with, that you've advised, you can also have that as well. Um, that would be for the imagery on the top. I'm going to move on to the headline, which I think is a really important part, if not one of the most important parts, also contextually, John, but also on an algorithmic and SEO standpoint. So the headline is the section that says client relations and business development. That is essentially the first part that someone will see when they see Jessica or any profile as a suggestion or while they're searching. It should be very clear what you do and where you do it. So, for example, I would add here client relations and business development at Nokomis so that people can already understand which organization she's a part of. And I would also add more keywords that are relevant to the industry that you serve or to the people that you would want yourself to show up for. Meaning, when you write your headline, John, you should be thinking to yourself, what could somebody on the other side be searching for on LinkedIn that I want myself to perhaps show up in those search, that I want LinkedIn to know, hey, John is relevant for this. So, for example, it could be advisory, it could be investment banking, it could be what else do we see here on the profile that could be relevant? I'm scrolling through to see if anything comes out. Um, Exit strategy, right? Um, those, and just keep on thinking what other keywords can we add? So, client relations and business development, that's specific to Jessica's position, but there's also the industry in which you guys operate so that someone can also land on and say, great, I understand. Maybe it's even adding also to the headline, exit with style, grace, and more money. So that if someone reads the headline, even before they come into the profile, they're able to get a clear sense who this person is and why I should be reaching out to them or why I should be accepting their connection request to me. Any questions so far?
No?
Awesome.
Good.
So we spoke about the personal profile picture, we spoke about the company, the banner, and we spoke about the headline. The next important, very important part of the profile that's also heavily indexed with the algorithm. Again, just to remind all of our listeners, LinkedIn and Google, even though they're kind of competitors because Microsoft owns LinkedIn, LinkedIn and Google work very well together. Traditional SEO, search engine optimization, right? The keywords that we typically had on our website would allow us to show up on Google. So the same logic works with our LinkedIn profiles. The more context and keywords we have on our personal profile will allow LinkedIn and Google to show us to relevant people. So our headline, our about, and our experience sections are the more targeted sections of our personal profile from an SEO standpoint. So in the about section, typically you can look at it as kind of your executive summary that combines between your personal experience and your professional experience. There's several ways, depending on the position of the person, that section could be utilized. So I'll give two options. Can either be an executive summary that combines between the personal and professional experience of yours, or it could be very focused on your clients and your ICP and really talk about the service that you provide, who you've worked with, the process that you go through, some of the success that they can expect, and really make it client oriented. Again, it really depends on the position, the person, and what they're looking to do, whether it's in a role or as a business owner. But those are kind of the variations that you're able to use for the about section itself, right? And if I continue to scroll down, then we get to the experience section, which that's usually the section that everyone is familiar with, where we put, just as we would on a CV, the organizations that we've worked with, the titles that we held. And here, John, this is a place where usually people skip over. I see on Jessica's, she has it in some of the places, adding a description to each experience, meaning the text that you have as part of that experience itself should be abundant, right? So if I look at Nokomis, I can see that there is a good amount of text here that talks about what you guys do, who you guys help, etc. That's great, right? And I love that you guys have here numbers talking about specifically the 80-20 rule, and EBITDA will be between 750 and 5 million. Using numbers throughout these sections are really important. It makes it less general. It feels more specific to the person that's understanding. It's like, oh, great. This is the stage that I'm at. Now I know, even without speaking, that it's perhaps relevant. So we should be using and filling out different parts of it. If it's previous positions, and it wasn't a business owner position, it was something that you contributed to. So again, talking about your responsibilities, talking about your achievements, again, where we can use, instead of saying I led a team, you should say I led a team of 10 people, 50 people. It gives a lot more contrast as opposed to a team. Is that one person or is that 50 people?
Yeah.
So wherever we can quantify it, there's definitely importance behind that. I will say that sometimes when we look at experience, we can see if you're looking at Jessica, John, you can notice the gray box that she has next to some of the experiences. That means that her company page isn't officially open on LinkedIn. So if you have a situation, for example, there is a second Martinka Consulting Nokomis advisor here under her experience, that should be reconnected to the main one, and then you'll be able to have a logo from there, right?
Yep.
That makes sense. So really the experience, I think we covered that. And then the rest of the sections, there's the education, we have the skills. I think many people don't necessarily add licenses and certifications and volunteer, which I think are also great sections to have. If there's any courses that you've done or any certifications, whether it's a board or advisory, you're able to put that under licenses and certifications. And if you hold any voluntary positions, you're able to put that as well as a dedicated position on your profile. And the last thing that we see all the way on the bottom is recommendations. I think that's a great part of the profile that many people skip over. It's great social proof, especially with people landing on our profile and looking into us. Ask for colleagues, ask for past clients, ask for anyone who can attest to you and your work, and ask them for a recommendation. It doesn't need to be a long A4. It can be, something short and concise, and that really, talks to the value that you can bring as a business owner or to any organization.
Okay, great. Let's move on to content. Uh, for and let's stick with what my company, what Jessica does. What kind of content, how often, uh, etc.
Great. Great questions. So let's talk about the cadence and around how much content should be going up. So again, we spoke about the importance and the relation for you. I would have also on your company page and also on your personal profiles. And each profile within an organization can focus on different points. So maybe Jessica is focusing more on client relations and business development because that's her specific role. And maybe you're focusing more on from your background in finance and economics and really more on the business aspect of exit strategy and different models and investment banking and what people look at when they're acquiring and what metrics are important, what people need to do to properly prepare themselves before they want to even have this transition. So I would think from a standpoint, John, first and foremost, think you can look back at your previous client calls and see what are some of the objections or questions that you have from your industry. You can speak to some of your clients and see what interests them specifically. And you should really be focused on educating, right? Really bringing value to if someone is looking to sell his business, what are the steps that he should be taking? What should he be looking at? And the second that you're giving value to someone, really bringing them into your orbit without even selling to them, they attract you. They get value from you. You've already helped them. And should they need something more significant or they understand that they're not able to do it themselves through what they've learned from your content and from your profiles, that can naturally bring them into a conversation with you and already feel more familiar and more trusted with you as their trusted advisor, right? So through the content, we're able to create trust, credibility, and authority, and it doesn't happen overnight. LinkedIn is a long-term play. I think that's also a differentiation from other platforms that perhaps are short-term, quick wins. LinkedIn is a long-term, especially when we're in business here, business to business. These things are very relationship-based, and it takes time to create that trust, credibility, and authority that we mentioned before. So the amount of posts that should be going up, I would say if you like challenges, it should be 2 to 3 times a week, right? The minimum should be a post a week. You really need to show up frequently and understand that people need to see the messages, and it takes several times before they can make a decision. So I'd be focusing on 2 to 3 times a week, not only posting, but also commenting. Commenting today, John, is probably one of the most important parts that we have on LinkedIn itself and is typically easier to get into or to invest time into than posting. Posting a lot of the time feels as a huge time investment, a burden, and maybe difficult for people to expose themselves and their thoughts, where comments allow you to show up perhaps in people who are already more active, right? If you haven't posted yet and you're starting to post now, your posts in the beginning are going to have low engagement. But if you comment on someone who's already more engaged and has an active audience, your comment is now able to get in front of very relevant people who may be an opportunity for you, who may connect with you, or you may be able to connect with them. Even more so, comments today are being shown the impressions that each comments are able to get. So not only posts showing impressions, but also comments showing impressions. We're even seeing some comments outperform posts, which I think is really, really fascinating. So having both of them really create a healthy presence. Uh, should you post and when you post, because hopefully from after this episode, everyone here is out and posting, you should be aiming to add a visual, add an image. It can be a view, it can be a selfie, it can be an AI generated image if you need. Typically, images with people, whether it's a team or an individual, work a lot better than an AI generated image. Posts with images will perform also better than a post without an image. But again, we should all be experimenting with different formats. We have images, we have videos, which is also increasing in its importance, and LinkedIn is making a big push for videos as well. Uh, Whatever gets you, John, or anyone listening to start posting, that should be the most important part as opposed to overthinking how it looks, what's being said, which format. You need to get the ball rolling so that you have more data to analyze so that you can learn from your experiments and fine tune it and optimize it as you go according to your goals.
Okay. So when you talk about content, I try to, when I'm putting on written content, I try to keep it pretty pithy to a couple hundred words. I see people putting 1,000, 2,000 word articles on LinkedIn. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, I love that question. You have great questions, John. So let's talk about terminology for a second. There's posts and articles, right? And then we'll talk about long posts as well, because that was the first part of your question. But posts and articles are two different formats entirely. Posts will always perform more than an article, whether it's a short post or a long post. Articles are very similar to a blog that we would have off, whether it's Medium or a blog on our website or Substack, meaning we have added functionalities such as links, images throughout the article itself, and of course, much longer text capabilities than a general post. Post, the longest that you can have is 3,000 characters. Okay. And articles, I believe the limit is 30,000, somewhere around there. A lot. Okay. Articles, though, and then I'll talk about the post itself. I want you to understand that articles index much better with SEO than posts. We're also seeing articles appear more in uh, AI, LLM search engines. So when someone is searching on ChatGPT or Claude or Perplexity or Gemini from Google, these LLMs, AIs, are now able to cite LinkedIn articles and LinkedIn pages, and we're seeing an uptick in the citations from there, which also ties into the importance of being on LinkedIn. If anyone's interested in also appearing more in AI searches, LinkedIn is a big contributor to that as well. So, from an SEO standpoint, articles are better. So, you should have both of them in your mix.
Okay,
To your
good.
question about specifically about posts, you can succeed with short posts and with long posts, John. People on LinkedIn are not afraid to read long content. That's the nature of why they're coming to LinkedIn. You mentioned before, you don't like to see people's vacations and their personal photos on LinkedIn. That's what you do when you go to Facebook and Instagram, and that's what you're expecting to see. When people are locked in on LinkedIn, they're locked in for business. They're locked in for professional networking, professional relationships, or professional development. They're looking to learn. And now, if the content is valuable, whether it's concisely in a few hundred words or maybe it's just very complex or not simple to explain and needs more paragraphs, more elaboration, then use it. Use the words, use the character limit that you're able to do. Focus though on should the post be longer, John, make sure that you keep good formatting throughout the post itself, meaning you start with a strong hook, which is essentially the first 3 lines of the post itself before you see the button that says see more. You want people to get curious and to click see more. From there, make sure that your copy, that the text breathes. It's not one big, large piece of text. It has white space in between paragraphs or in between sentences themselves. That'll make it a lot easier for people to read, especially considering that most of the people are on their mobiles. So it's much harder to read on a telephone. And then you finish with a call to action, a CTA, whether it's to your website, whether it's to reach out, whether it's a question to get them to engage. You want to have these conversations with people through your posts. Of course, once you hit post and people come in and like and comment, please make sure to comment back to them. Not only will it help your post perform better, it will also help you, with the other person on the other side feeling acknowledged that he took the time to comment to you, and now you're taking the time to comment back to him and continue that conversation.
Great. So my final, we'll call it technical question is, w- what about asking people to follow your company on LinkedIn?
Could you clarify more just in
So,
general, asking
well,
them to follow?
yeah, I get requests, John Doe requests that you follow John Doe Consulting.
Oh, because he sent you. So is your question, should you be sending out
Yeah, how
invitations
important is that?
to follow the company page? Oh, I don't know what happened there. Something happened with my camera.
You zoomed in.
Yeah, I think I used it. It has automatic gestures, and then I used that. Cool. I guess we'll zoom in for the end. uh, you should be using a company page, should be using its invites. You get 250 invites per month. You should be sending out invites from your company page to
Okay.
people to follow so that you can naturally grow your page and have people um, be part of it.
Okay. So it is important.
Yes, you should be definitely you should be sending out the invites and growing your company page. Many people don't use the 250 credits that you get.
Okay. So, Eli, this is fascinating. Uh, is there anything I didn't ask you about that you would like to get out to the audience? We've covered a lot here, a lot more than I thought we would.
Yes, we have. We've covered a lot. I think, if I'm one final takeaway for everyone listening, something in general, be on LinkedIn. If it hasn't been clear till now, be on LinkedIn. Find the way to be there for yourself, for your company, for your employees. It really is the go-to platform. And going forward, we see more and more companies and individuals joining, and I have no doubt that you're a post away from a life-changing opportunity. I'm not a fortune teller. I can't tell you after how long it'll be, but I can tell you that if you take everything that we discussed and you do it long term, consistently, life-changing opportunities will come your way.
Okay. So to wrap up, uh, what do you like to do when you're not helping people maximize their LinkedIn?
Uh, I love food. I'm a big foodie. I love going out for food and I love cooking food myself. And I have a wonderful dog as well that I love being with. I think you told me before that you're a dog owner yourself.
Yeah.
So, in general, being things that are around friends and family. So, cooking, being with friends, being with family, being with my dog. Uh, I love all of that.
So it sounds like good balance.
Yeah, it's important. Keeping good balance. I got to work hard and play hard.
Great. So to close this out, Eli Igra Serfaty. Uh, and again, how do you pronounce your company name?
Maya Digital.
Maya Digital. And as all of you know from listening to this, it's a LinkedIn agency. He's an expert. He's a pro at LinkedIn. I stopped taking notes because I'm going to make our whole team, there's my daughter and then two others, listen to this a couple times before it goes public and then take notes so you can stop and pause and say, okay, this is my page. This is what Eli's saying it should be, and get it upgraded. So I really appreciate you. This is I think one of the most informative podcasts we have done in a long, long time because what you're telling us is very practical stuff that can affect business owners, employees, and professional service providers all at the same time, doing similar things.
Yeah, it's really incredible. I've really enjoyed our time. Thank you for having me, John. And while your team's working on it or anyone else going through their profile as they're listening to this episode, feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. Feel
Yeah.
free to reach out with any questions, and I'd be more than happy to help.
So you want to be contacted via LinkedIn
Yes,
or
yes, that's
website
always
too?
easier. Or my website is www.team-maya.com. But I'm always my main channel is on LinkedIn. We walk the talk, so very easy to find me there.
Yeah. And what is your LinkedIn, dot or slash in?
As long as if they're watching this episode, that you can see my name here, Eli Igra Serfaty. If you go with a quick search over there, Eliigra Serfaty, you'll be able to find me there.
Okay. And it'll be in the show notes because remember, not everyone's going to see this. A lot of them are going to listen to it on the audio version. So, uh, great, Eli, wonderful episode. And again, this is the Getting the Deal Done podcast. I'm John Martinka, and we will sign off now until next time. Bye.